Hi, this is Brad Seacott, and I'm a sales professional. I've been in sales for about 20 years now. And in this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about how to use Textexpander. In particular, how to use it to send sales emails as a first level to engage with customers. Textexpander is a product that I found out about probably about 3 or 4 months ago, so I'm a little late to the party on this one. I'm using a Mac, and the Textexpander version I'm using is 8.4.1. I guess we could start with looking at Textexpander here on the web, and you can go ahead and download it. And I believe they have a 30-day trial. And one of the most important things that you have to do as a salesperson is just send out emails. Sending them out is painful if you have to type them every time. And there's many ways to do things to send out emails. You can set up templates and so on and so forth. The reason I like Textexpander is because for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that it is very easy. The second reason I like it is it's agnostic, which means that once you set up a Textexpander snippet, and that's what they call these shortcuts as snippets, you can use them anywhere. You can use them in any email program you like. You can use them in any other program you like. You can use them in Word. You can use them on the web. Doesn't matter. And so to me, that's very powerful. And you can set up nice little abbreviations to call them. So let's kind of get into Textexpander a little bit here. I think I showed this earlier on, I've got version 8.4.1 as of this video. And so on this left-hand side, we have a bunch of folders that are Textexpander snippets that I have made. And I use these in my everyday life. Contact information, so if you look at contact, you have my shipping address, I have my Microsoft 365 email address, I have my standard email address. Then I also created some examples for this company that I made up called Brad's Bolts, and we'll be working in there. I have some follow-up emails, I have some forecasting emails, and so on and so forth, and we'll probably get into that in some later videos. For now, let's talk about how to set up an email. So I've got an email started here, and this just happens to be in Gmail, but you can use it in any client, doesn't really matter. So let's say we're in Brad's Bolts, and let's say we want to start a new snippet. So let's start a new snippet. We're shown this editing screen. You can choose what type of text you want. If you want plain text, rich text, scripts, JavaScript. For this one, we're going to use rich text. A lot of these are for programmers and things like that. I'm just going to go ahead and just throw something in here. I'm taking this opportunity to introduce you to Brad's Bolts. We offer a line of bright and shiny bolts. Okay? If you are interested, let me know. Okay. And then I'll put a signature line here. Brad Seacott, Brad's Bolts. Bolts. Sales. Okay? So that's it. All right? So then I'm going to go ahead and label it, because right now it's giving me what it thinks it wants to label it. Let's just call this intro email. And now let's go ahead and give it an abbreviation. I always start my abbreviations with a semicolon, and then I have a couple of letters that tell me what the context is. So let's call this BB for Brad's Bolts, and then let's go INT for intro. Okay? So we're done. Once we go over here, we just type semicolon BB INT. So we can go ahead and send this out to as many recipients as we want. We can put a subject in here, intro to Brad's Bolts. Okay? So at its basic core, you can write snippets that will start you from this basic level. But here's the beauty. Once you get a snippet going, then you can start adding things. I would love to automate putting in Brad's Bolts in the subject line. You know, I hate writing subjects and then going in and writing content, right? Well, that's no problem. The beautiful thing about Textexpander is it has these fields up here which will allow you to customize your snippets however you like. So let's take a look at what we have here. We have some dates. We have some time formats. We have some mathematics for dates and time. We have some keyboard functions, enter, escape, return, tab. This is going to be very important. We're going to use this tab. We can decide where we want to leave the cursor. We'll get into that a little later. And then we can also add optional fields that we can fill in, optional sections, pop-up menus, things like that. So for this one, let's just go ahead and type in our subject. And our subject is going to be Introduction to Brad's Bolts. Okay? Now, an interesting thing here is that if you go into an email client to Brad's Bolts, if you hit the tab, it brings you down into the body. Okay? So let's go ahead and utilize that. So we've got our subject here, Introduction to Brad's Bolts. Then let's go ahead and put a tab in here. All right, let's go to the keyboard. Let's put a tab in. Okay? And then we go to our body. Now, I'll tell you a mistake that I made very early on. When I did this, after the tab, I did a carriage return and started the body of my email. Look at what happens when we do that. Let's go ahead and delete this. Okay? So let's go ahead, BBINT. You notice it puts an extra space up there? I don't like that. So let's go ahead and fix that. We'll just put this up right next to the tab. Okay? And let's do this again. BBINT. Perfect. All right, now, I've got this email. I can go in and put anything I want into this. Okay? I can put in information on products. In particular, I think you would be interested in our stainless steel bolts. Okay? You can put it in there, or you could add it to the snippet. What I really like about Textexpander is it's so easy to go in and edit these things. As I'm going through my day or as I'm going through my week, I can edit these snippets and I can personalize them. So that's just a simple way. What did that take me? 5 minutes? That's a simple way to get started. And the beautiful thing is once you start building a library, you can start making more sophisticated snippets and just keep calling back to them. So that's kind of a quick way to get you started. Let's personalize this a little bit more. Okay, so let's go back to Brad's Bolts. We've got our intro email. Okay, I would like to personalize this some. I would like to add a name in here. So let's go ahead and let's use this field picker here. Let's choose a single line field. And it asks us, what name do you want to give this field? Well, let's go ahead and call this first name. Hit enter. And so it's going to prompt me to give the first name. So now what I want to do, I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm going to put a carriage return in here. Now watch what we get now. Let's go ahead and delete this. BB intro, right? So now I've got Introduction to Brad's Bolts. Bob. I'm taking this opportunity to introduce Brad's Bolts. We offer a line of bright and shiny bolts. If you are interested, let me know. So say we just launched a web page and we want to introduce Bob to our web page. More information is available at the following link. All right, let's go ahead and add in a link. Let's call this Bob's web page. Okay. Highlight this. We go to the link page here. And we just type in the link. Let's just call this google.com. Well, let's call this bobsbolts.com. Obviously a fake name, but okay. So let's look at this. BBINT. Send this to Bob. Perfect. It's excellent. Say we don't know who we're sending it to. Let's go ahead and do it again. BBINT. Just leave it blank. Just leave the first name blank. Now, you're going to end up with a comma, but you can always delete that. And now you can send it to a whole bunch of people, or you can BCC it or whatever. So that's kind of an intro to how to use Textexpander to start sending some sales emails. One of the most important things that you're going to want to use is a feature called duplicating a snippet. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. All right, so go ahead and click on Intro Email, right-click, choose Duplicate. All right, we have the exact same snippet. Let's go ahead and change this to Targeted. Let's call this Intro to our anodized line. Okay. And then let's just call this BB A and D for anodized. Okay. And then what we can do, we can just go ahead and edit this to Brad's bolts, and in particular, our newest product, custom anodized bolts. Okay. We don't need this about the bright and shiny bolts. More information on these exciting products is available at the following link. And then we can go in here and let's go ahead and edit this link. Okay. Let's call this backslash, so it's bobsbolts.com/anodized. Okay. And then we're done. So now, instead of this, we have Bob's Bolts A and D. Let's send this to Carl, because we know that Carl is interested in anodized bolts. Okay. So you can quickly build out your library of snippets and then start organizing them. So you can organize them kind of like I've done in my job here. You know, targeted emails, quoting, OneNote, so on and so forth. Okay? So I think that does it for this video. I think that we'll touch on some other things in future videos. If you have any questions or any thoughts on what you'd like me to cover in future videos, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and look forward to the next one.